Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Well, eventually we are live with the VEC Online League of Legends Tournament, the semi-finals today, which are taking place in Wellington as we speak. We've had a lot of delays, but we are finally into the first game, which is HKAYCEE versus versus Team Flaccid. I think, or is it HKAYCEE versus the Poros? Hang on, I'll just have to check. Let's just see very quickly. I'll just check the challenge brackets. So, unfortunately, things all very, very disorganized. I think it's HKAYCEE versus the Poros, but I just need to confirm that with you in a moment, ladies and gentlemen. Let's see. Yeah, I think so. I think it's HKAYCEE. Yeah, there you go. King of Poros on the MMU. Okay, so we're into the loading screen. Hold on. Skin battle's going on. Let me just switch over to that. So, yeah, we've had massive delays. We were sitting in a lobby waiting for Coon Kings versus... who was it going to be? It was going to be Coon Kings versus Team Flaccid, I think it was. And unfortunately, the Coon Kings are a DQ. So we've got HKAYCEE instead versus the Poros. So unfortunately, we missed out all of the bans, the whole pick ban phase, because the lobby had actually started. We were waiting in the other lobby for the other teams to start up, and we've made a snap call to switch over to this semi-final because at least the teams are here and they're loading in. So we'll have... this is a best of 3. This is the first game of a best of 3, and we're going to have the Poros on the blue side taking on HKAYCEE on the red side. And I think I've got all of my overlays all sorted out. Poros on the blue side, I said, didn't I? Pretty sure. Poros on the blue side. And we should be into this game. So again, just apologize for the delays and the kind of lack of organization that we're having at the moment. But it really is because of teams no showing. In fact, we were supposed to start today at 11 a.m. and that was going to be just an elimination game, a best of 1. And that was going to determine who was going to go into round 2, and then we were going to go into semi-finals. So everything's been moved forward because of no-shows, unfortunately, which is a bit of a disappointment because this tournament has been really well organized and has been consistently administrated by the team at VEC. And we've had some good games on Sunday nights. But unfortunately, it comes to the playoffs, and I don't know, teams are just not taking things seriously. So, bad show by the Coon Kings, I'm just going to say. Shout out to Nelson DW1234 in the Twitch chat. Yes, this is a semi-final. It is Poros versus HKAYCEE. So let's just get that up. Poro versus HKAYCEE. And it is a best of 1. Sorry, a best of 3. So let's just get some scores up. There you go. Best of 3. And not really sure what the pause is about, but there is a pause. So let's just run through the teams. And I think they've been very... we've got HKAYCEE not in order. So I'll just have to sort that out very quickly while we're waiting. Oh, there you go. So sort of in order. Let's run through the teams very quickly, ladies and gentlemen. We've got representing the Poros, Batterskull, the King of Poros, Poita, Polychromatic, and Prosaurus Rex. And on the red side, we've got HKAYCEE represented by Saichi. Oh, somebody told me how to pronounce that once, but I can't remember anymore. HKAYCEE Design, Spectre, Sykes. And in the mid lane, on the Azir, Jonty Wanty. So I need someone in the Twitch chat to put their hands up to be a moderator to kick these bots during the game so that I don't have to do it. I wonder how the bots know. How do the bots know to come into the channel and talk to us? Nevertheless, so we're into the game, ladies and gentlemen. Finally, Poros versus HKAYCEE from the VEC Online League of Legends Tournament. And straight away we have HKAYCEE rolling out in what I like to call a full defensive line. So they've spread out completely. They are just on the lookout for invades, not so interested themselves in performing an invade and setting up their vision to boot. Really, the deepest vision is going to come for HKAYCEE from HKAYCEE, who's going to put down a ward to spot out what's going to happen at the Gromp. And he'll note that there's nobody at the Gromp, so he can assume that blue side is starting. Well, I suppose he would have seen blue buff, but I don't think that that ward actually sees. Don't think it would have spotted the Maokai going into that brush, is my guess. So we're going to have no assistance at the Krugs for King of Poros on the Amumu. Very interesting start for an Amumu who is very mana dependent, starting at the Krugs and not at the blue buff, as is the norm. He might get a little bit of help from Prosaurus Rex. That's going to be a good thing. And Polychromatic coming over now to assist him after keeping the eye out on the potential for an invade from HKAYCEE. Design starting at the Krugs, gets some help from his mates, and heads on over to the blue buff. So pretty standard start really for him. Up in the top lane we've got Batterskull versus HKAYCEE, and already HKAYCEE laying down some harass down onto Batterskull. We'll just have to see whether he's going to be using his... Well, he's just absolutely beating on him, and Batterskull not interested in trading at this stage. So free damage going down from HKAYCEE at the moment. In the mid lane, Jonty Wanty versus Poata. Jonty Wanty pushing up as you are wont to do on the Azure. Very, very easy to push things up and get harassed down onto Poata, who in his early levels is no gap closer and is restricted to just his Q for the long range, and the rest of the time melee. Down in the bottom lane, Spectre and Sykes going up against Polychromatic and Prosaurus Rex. And well, interesting all-in bottom lane for the Poros, going up against really a disengaged and kite composition, I would say, from HKAYCEE. Of course, Jinx very vulnerable to gap closers, but has the Chompers as a get out of jail card. I won't say get out of jail free, just a get out of jail card. A little bit of a roam from the boys from HKAYCEE in the bottom lane just to get some vision down, because they're pushing their lane all up and keeping the pressure on Polychromatic and Prosaurus Rex. Of course, we've got level 2 for all of the champions down in the bottom lane, so we could expect to see an all-in from Prosaurus Rex and Polychromatic any moment now, I think. In fact, now that they've hit level 3, it's even more likely. There you go. Prosaurus Rex goes in, gets flashes forward and gets a stun down onto Sykes. But Polychromatic not really on the same page, not able to put any damage down. Flashes forward and forces the flash out of Sykes. So that's 2 flashes used. And of course, Polychromatic not really going to be in any very real danger from not having his flash, because he does have a dash. In the mid lane, we've got a quick little gank going in from HKAYCEE Design. Poata not really too worried about that and sort of wanders out of there. King of Poros in the meantime just going through his jungle. He's got a double buff and will no doubt head on up to the top lane to see if he can get a gank going in there. Going the long way around, and Batterskull will go in now. Not really selling anything at this stage, so the pings are going down. As HKAYCEE holds his flash, gets himself underneath the turret, and decides to blue pill out of that. So nice composure really, from Batterskull, as he maintains his flash, and he'll probably just TP back into lane. Back down in the bottom lane, there you go, Batterskull TPing back into lane. Will not even lose a creep, so he'll be pleased with that. Down in the bottom lane, still pushed up, HKAYCEE, Sykes and Spectre. Spectre and Sykes. And the CS, oh, got to fix that. Whoop. CS just beginning to build up a lead on the Jinx from Spectre, despite that early engage from Poros Rex and a Polychromatic. And really, things in the bottom lane, I would say, Spectre shouldn't be building up a lead here. We should be seeing these two full health champions. Well, Polychromatic has taken a little bit of damage, but they're basically full health here, the Poros, and they should be engaging. They should be going in there and forcing trades. Neither of these teams have any sustain down at the bottom lane until Sykes hits his 6. So really you want to get the engages and the harass down before Sykes hits his 6. Poros, King of Poros, is going to find HKAYCEE design, stealing things from him, and is not going to be able to do anything about it other than get rid of the tunnel. So these two teams, the two bottom lane teams, don't seem to want to actually engage against each other at all. In the mid lane, Poros doing very well to stay well within the CS range of his opponents, despite having a hard time of things. 51 to 48, just 3 down, so he'll be quite pleased. And other than that, not really much else going on in the team, in the fields. The usual trades, the usual farm fest. Just the one gank in the mid lane. 7 minutes gone by, and just a little bit of a gold lead being built up at the moment by HKAYCEE. And I'm just looking to where most of that is, and most of that is on the ADC. And that's really because I don't know why the Poros are not engaging down in the bottom lane. They've got so much CC and so much zone control, and they're just not using it. Poros Rex not projecting any sort of presence or control in the lane at all. King of Poros wandering up to the top lane and deciding to blue pill. His counterpart in the jungle also decides to blue pill at this stage. So in case you're wondering, ladies and gentlemen, my name is HKAYCEEE. I'm alone in the studio today. Just a quiet little bit of League of Legends down here in Christchurch and Wellington. Gamestah studio is in Christchurch, and the games are being played online, but all of these players are in Wellington. It is the VEC Online Tournament, the Victoria Engineering Club Online Tournament. So at the 8.5 minute, we've got our first blue buff going to a mid laner. Jonty Wanty will pick that up onto the Azir. And we'll have a late blue buff spawn for the Poros because of the weird jungle path that was taken by the King of Poros. So blue pills galore from the bottom laners. Jinx comes back to lane with a BF sword and boots. So we'll be very pleased with that first buy. And is going to have, well, not a huge advantage in terms of damage and in terms of just damage items. No real advantage over the Graves, but has been able to bring a ward along, and it's a full green ward, so it'll last the full duration. Since they get back into the lane first, and the turret is undefended, Jinx goes to work shredding at this stage and doing a great job there. That turret has taken a massive amount of damage. So really the bottom lane in favor of HKAYCEE at the moment in terms of just the gold lead, the CS lead on the Jinx now almost 20, so around about 15 CS is the lead for the Jinx. and it is starting to show that damage. Sorry, in the mid lane we've got Jonty Wanty getting ganked. He flashes forward, gets the Shurima shuffle down onto King of Poros, gets him underneath the turret. So he takes a couple of turret hits, but manages to survive. And Poros follows up with great damage onto Jonty Wanty, forcing him out of the lane and requiring Design to stay in lane to get the farming going. And that, mind you, was a Kassadin without a blue buff. So doing very, very well. That said, a lot got thrown at him. The Amumu ult, which is on quite a long cooldown for an ulti, was what it cost to force Azir out of lane. We'll have our first pink ward getting destroyed by Design. And really that's the most of the action. So a lot of donuts on the board at the moment. No kills, no dragons, no turrets, and no games won in this best of 3. Not really sure why the ward got put down there by the blue team. Must be an accident. So this turret is going to go down in this push right now. Blue turret is down. Spectre looks to translate his excitement into damage onto his lane opponents. Doesn't really happen. So he's pushed the lane right back. And we've got Design lurking and looking for an opportunity to go in onto Prosaurus Rex and Polychromatic. King of Poros is there too. There's no vision here, so they don't actually know that he's come. Now the pings go down onto the first dragon. 11.5 minutes it took before the first shot got fired at dragon. And this is going to be probably uncontested. King of Poros is going to come on over, gets a ward down. He might decide to go for it, but he's a little bit slow with the bandage toss and doesn't manage to pick it up. So first dragon going over to HKAYCEE, as well as that first turret. So no more donuts on the board for HKAYCEE. The nom's still going down from Pawada and the boys from the Poros. Saichi losing out on the damage trade situation now that Batterskull is able to get his sustain going. Let's have a look at the situation there. Comfortable gold lead on the Gangplank in the top lane. And of course it's not just the CS that adds to his gold lead, it's the parley as well. So we should actually see how well he's doing in terms of his parley, as we see Jinx transition into the top lane and start pushing on that as well. And that's the way that you want to do it. So there's no pressure at the bottom lane at the moment from the Poros, as HKAYCEE Spectre fancies his chances, goes in with a super mega death rocket and misses Batterskull, but drives him out of the lane. So well, King of Poros is going to have to flash out of this if he's got flash. He doesn't have flash available, and the first blood goes to the Jinx. Spectre is doing work at the moment, ladies and gentlemen. Picked up the first turret, is going to pick up the second turret, and of course just picked up that first blood. Now Saichi is going to try and dominate this lane. He doesn't quite have level 11, but he's got the components, the first two components of his Triforce, and the critical one for his parleys, the Sheen, has been created. So he'll be able to quite comfortably farm away there. As we have in short succession 2 turrets go down for the blue team. That's 3 in total now, all of the outer turrets down. So a very uneventful game in terms of skirmishes, but just complete across the ball lane dominance from the boys of HKAYCEE. Don't know how things are going to transition into team fighting. We're heading towards the 15-minute mark quite shortly, and HKAYCEE Design lurking around. He's got a ward down and he's going to try and get a smite steal down, I think. Well, he just tried to steal it with his Q, and unfortunately not enough damage there for him. Gangplank came along, was lurking and looking for a potential gank, but of course everybody was there and everybody knew what was happening because of the defensive vision placed by the Poros. Poada getting the attention of Spectre on the Jinx, gets himself away with the Rift Walk. Oh, King of Poros goes in. He wants an engage. He gets knocked away by the Monsoon. And for his troubles, is going to go down. The CC to death. Knocked up time and time again in a nice little chain. And that opens the way for damage to go down onto the second tier turret of the Poros. Spectre shredding away at this stage. 4 players, in fact, with it. In support, and quick as you go, just absolutely no resistance at the moment from the Poros. It's almost as though they've conceded this game already at the 15-minute mark. Polychromatic taking a cork to the backside, and very, very far behind. Oh, Prosaurus Rex has to flash away very, very quickly. Almost got taken down by a Deathbrush gank as he got his ward down there. Super Digger, Super Mega Death Rocket gets a kill there. Nice little kill there from the Jinx, who is on 2-0-1 at this stage. Has his Infinity Edge finished and is absolutely doing work at the moment. Spectre has had a very, very easy time of things and is now moving over to allow a kind of a split push to go on. So we got Jonty, Wanty and Design just transitioning to the mid lane as yet another turret goes down. Where was that? I'm sure I had a turret. I don't know. I don't actually know what happened there. Something said a turret died and it didn't actually die. Shows how much I'm paying attention, ladies and gentlemen, as the siege from HKAYCEE moves to the mid lane turret, the mid inhibitor turret, in fact, of the Poros. At 17 minutes, this game is well and truly with HKAYCEE. And they have had a very, very easy time of it, ladies and gentlemen. The flash from Amumu, he calls down his ult and traps almost 4 players, in fact. We've got 2 kills going down. It is 2 for 1 at this stage. A great little engage by the Poros, but Jonty Wanty at full HP decides to flash forward, trying to pick up the kill underneath the turret. Uses his Emperor's Divide really as a get out of jail card more than anything else. Curse of the Mummy, that is what Amumu's ult is called. Just needed to remember that. So a nice defense there as the King of Poros decides to pull the trigger. And a successful one as well, and I don't know why they haven't done that prior to this, because that engage worked very, very well. They got a 2 for 1, and it was a long time before the Amumu went down. So I think if they had pulled the trigger earlier in a couple of times, I mean, if the Amumu had ganked bottom lane instead of mid lane, I think, because the reality is that the bottom lane, I think, would have been more gankable. Jinx has less escapes than Azir. I suppose maybe trying to get the Kassadin ahead. But I think with the all-in composition and capability of the bottom lane together with the Amumu, it would have been a better option to head on to that bottom lane in the early phases of the game. Well, no crying over spilt milk at this stage. Kawada trying to catch up on the 20 CS deficit that he has in comparison to Jonty Wanty from the mid lane. We've got Batterskull going in. Amumu doesn't have his ulti at this stage though, so not really sure what he was going for there. And in fact, has really just trolled him. In the meantime, the Kassadin went down in the top lane to the Gangplank, who is absolutely shitting out damage, let's just say. He's got his Triforce finished, has a BF sword, that'll be built into an IE edge, and we have a 3-way split push going on. Jinx down in the bottom lane, has Sykes in support of him. In the mid lane, we've got the Azir, Jonty Wanty and Design pushing that mid lane turret, and will no doubt, well, almost get it as the defenders finally arrive. We have the Amumu ult is available, so he's called it in. We've got the passive. It's been fought underneath the turret from the passive of Azir, and that is absolutely doing work. Jonty Wanty gets a killing spree. Bear in mind this is a 4 versus 5, so even though we have an ace going down, the quadra kill to the Azir, it was 4 versus 5 with Saicha just pushing the top lane turrets. So first inhib turret goes down, first inhibitor is going to go down. They don't have enough of a wave to finish the game, so they'll transition over to the top lane turret just in time to join Saichi on the gangplank, take it down, and, well, very wisely, I guess, not taking any chances, they decide to get themselves out of dodge with an exposed inhibitor. Prosaurus Rex tries to get well, he flashes through, gets a stun down onto HKC Design, but he's isolated himself. Finally, Batterskull arrives, gets some CC down as well, but HKC Design is going to just tunnel on the way out of there. Saicha should just fight this. He's got so much strength at this stage. I really don't think that he was in any danger. In the meantime, let's just hit the backspace and see what happened to the Jinx in the backline. They're chasing after Polychromatic as he tries to get away, but you've only got one flash. Pawada has got multiple rift walks, 1 versus 1 between the ADCs, and the shutdown goes to Polychromatic as it's just kills across the board. We had a continuing chase between Azir and the Kassadin. Poros, King of Poros, is not going to get away as yet another ace out of that protracted and extended engage that was really just stopping the backs from the Poros. Well, the Poros is stopping the backs from HKC, and HKC turned around and really punished it, so they got a second ace out of that. 16 and 5 the kills as we have a brief respite in the action. Well, Prosaurus Rex on the outside of his base discovers a couple of champions there. Saichi, sorry, it was just the one champion. Saichi doing the damage there, and then deciding to blue pill eventually to spend all of his delicious, delicious gold. He'll be able to finish his IE. There you go. As the HKC boys decide they're going to take a Baron. And I don't think it's a risky move at all. We've got Kassadin lurking. He might try for a cheeky steal, but Azir is going to zone him out. Takes him down. And so that is a Baron buff. The first of the Baron buffs going down onto HKC. King of Poros looking for an engage. Goes in, gets the curse down, but again he's isolated. The front line is not there with him. Prosaurus Rex is just going to go down one after the other. Spectre picks up that kill. Pawada now running for his life. Polychromatic as well. And unfortunately, only Polychromatic is able to get away as Pawada gets taken down. Batterskull gets permitted to get out of there. I don't really know what happened there. Oh, he wasn't permitted. He actually TP'd, so it wasn't a blue pill. It was a TP. HKC Design gets himself out of dodge. Got a little bit of damage, a lot of damage, in fact, onto that turret as the team fight breaks down and the defenders start falling. We've got 2 for 1 as the Kassadin, 3 for 1 as the Kassadin respawns after he got caught in the jungle. Spectre putting the damage down onto the second Nexus turret. Gets excited, takes down Pawada very, very quickly. And now the damage going down, Saicha actually picked up that kill. But the damage going down onto the Nexus, and quick as you please, the first game goes to HKC. So we'll just see, ladies and gentlemen, if we can get into the lobby for the second game. In just a moment.